You can tell it's Tom, because he looks just like Ferg, but a bit fatter. Lovely day for it.
Lovely day for it.
I hope everyone's charged their glasses. So, for those of you that don't know me, some people call me the handsome one. Sometimes the cat one, and sometimes Fergus. So, I wrote that as my opening gambit, but actually no one of the last 3 people have come up to me today and said congratulations. So, you got the wrong one. Put this on, so it shouldn't happen again. So Ferg and I go way back. The day we met was the 16th of July 1990, otherwise known as the greatest day in human history. I'll be honest, I don't remember much of the day. I was going through a lot of the time. We didn't talk much in the first few months, mostly physical interaction, a bit of kicking and the like. But since we've become the best of friends. So, now people talk about twins and how they're basically the same person. And in fact, when we were growing up, Jack and Jamie thought this was hilarious. But me and Ferg did not find it funny, I'll tell you that for free. While we might be similar in many ways, there's no arguing that Fergus is a truly unique person, and I'd like to share a few things with you today that'll make you say, classic Ferg. So, Ferg has always been proud of his appearance, and I couldn't do this speech today without mentioning the hair. So I've got a couple of little pictures here for you. You'll recognise that as the definitive emo look of 2007. Fergus would spend hours sculpting that lid with the latest GHDs to create that magnificent thing. Perhaps it was this exceptional piece of styling, or perhaps it was the sultry, introspective, wistful look from under those impeccably positioned locks. But Fergus had all the coolest girls at school. I distinctly remember when the hottest girl in school pulled me aside to whisper what I hoped might be like a declaration of love for me. But no, she'd gone weak at the knees and confessed and blushed that she thought he was dreaming. All the while, I'm thinking, he's bloody gay, and I'm the same. Since we were kids, he's always been a wheelie dealer. I think Dad's mentioned it already. Every time I speak to him, he's got a new toy or something purloined from the Navy. He's got a plan to go for something bigger, faster, or better. And Dad mentioned the cars, but I think he comes into his own when he comes to boats. In a short time, he's had 3 Musto skiffs, a Moth, an RS600, a canary yellow RS600, and if you don't know what these are, I don't know you, but they are, a selection of truly mad and expensive boats that are beyond the most ordinary folk. He is in fact a champion of ridiculous sports, of which there are a few traditions amongst the group. Beginning with a scene in Tarifa 2018, the lads were inexplicably refused entry to a club for being too well greased for a night out. And this is due to a drinking game called the Peloton, initiated by Fergus, and I'm sure we'll get that going later. Rather than bowing out graciously from the evening, Fergus initiated a new game. The inaugural International Sock Wrestling Championships were birthed right there on the doorstep of the club. And the logic being that if we weren't allowed in, then you could be sure of hell no one else was going in either. Not when that spectacle was happening on the doorway. Now it's a regular feature in the social calendar, and I hope you're all prepared for the arena later. It's winner stays on, and the one who comes up against ants, good luck. He's also a strong contender in the lizard wrestling ring, and my favourite of them all, he's the Royal Navy's undisputed champion of blind boxing. If anyone would like to see this in action, I've got a video of it. and I'm glad to see our tax dollars are being put to good use in defence of our country. He bloody likes a good pint. Probably a trait that all Holland share. You may not know that Fergus was a bartender at 19 and was somehow left in charge of the local pub at home. One incident that will live forever, immortalised in the water damage on the bar floor, is when Fergus initiated a lock-in. Got all of his best pals, a couple of them there, from the valley, lined up on the floor behind the bar, gobs wide open, and instructed one of the locals to turn on all the taps. You can imagine the teenage boozy carnage that ensued. His stag do, a couple of weeks ago, was another prime example of when, as the boys were flagging, Fergus managed, on both nights, to end up on the pub stage with a pilfered musical instrument, attempting to join the local band with varying degrees of success. But my point being, you can always depend on Fergus to get a bloody good party going. And no party would be incomplete without an extremely well executed fancy dress, and or a bit of cross-dressing. And there have been some real corkers over the years, included but not limited to an actual fighter jet, a yellow submarine, and Scary Spice. He's not afraid of a bit of controversy, but fortunately, Ben and Ferg share that passion and can often be found doing a collaboration. Famously, Jeremy Corbyn and Diane Abbott. And Oscar Pistorius and Aretha Steenkamp have been seen racing the streets of Scotland and Liverpool. Anyway, today is about Fergus and the love of his life, his Hellenic Arctic 22 rib. Seriously though, he does love a speedboat, so much so he converted the dining room into a workshop, much to Ben's chagrin. It's been plagued with a few teething problems. In fact, if you Google Maps Fergalicious' fabulous boating tours, you'll find a new business which launched alongside his boat. He doesn't know about this. Unfortunately, the reviews have not been kind to date, and I've picked a few favourites for you to read. If anyone's on the Wi-Fi, do it now and give them a phone. So, anonymous user number 1. Promises everything, delivers nothing. Anonymous user number 2. It's hard to be disappointed when expectations were so low. I still was. Jack Holland. Pretty rough ride, shame about the grubby poop deck. Could always trust Jack to lower the tone. I've been assured that the teething issues are ironed out and the boating tours this weekend will run without a hitch, so maybe we'll get those reviews up a few stars. Another thing that's uniquely Ferg is he's a true friend. Anyone? Right. You know, the other thing that's unique to Ferg is he's a true friend. He's authentic, passionate, funny, an intelligent person that you just want to have around. But more than that, you know you can depend on him. You can depend on him to be a shoulder to cry when you need it. You can depend on him to challenge you and stand up for what he believes in. And I'm sure a lot of you have had a political discussion or two with him. And you can depend on him to be the guy that get a party started and probably throw in some serious shapes on the dance floor. The number of great people in his life, like all of you guys that are here today, want to be here celebrating him and Ben, and it's a testament to that character. But people often ask, what's it like to be a twin? I always answer, I know no different. But being a twin can't really be put into words. The truth is, I feel incredibly privileged to have been gifted such an amazing person to share. To share the ups and downs of life. You might be disappointed to hear we can't read each other's minds, but Fergus is the first person to know when I've got something to celebrate, and he's the first to get a phone call when I'm having an emotional emergency right now. I'm extraordinarily grateful to have such a baked-in, our hero is a baked-in best friend. He's a rock, a constant, and someone... Ferg, I love you dearly, you're a legend. And you're also pretty good looking. So in summary, Ferg is unique, like a lock, I know Ferg is a unique clock, and Ben is the key. So Ben, you look absolutely stunning today. I was half expecting you to walk down the aisle in a pair of khaki shorts and a Dilson Rangers colours. Disappointed. You came into our lives like a whirlwind back in 2014 or whatever it was, but you never shied away from getting stuck into what I can imagine is quite an intimidating family. From that day onwards, you've been the life and soul of the party, a real injection of energy when those around you need someone to kick them into gear. And I can think of 1,000 times when you forced me off the sofa with a terrible hangover to go and do something. Honestly, mate, you just need to stay on the sofa. It's also awesome how you've built a life down here at Swanage and integrated the community so thoroughly. Notwithstanding the amazing work you do up here at the Country Park, but I think your greatest contribution to date is one of the founding members of the Swanage Social Club Early Morning Bar. It's more innocent than it sounds, and so head down to the North Beach. Let's examine for quite some. I'm going to go off script a little here because it's a repetition of what everyone else has done. But honestly, I've seen Ben's penis more than Ferg has. It's just rinsing on naked. One particular memory comes to mind, and I think it's an echo of a lot of people's experience, is piling out of the club in Swanage, one of the greatest clubs of all time, at like 4 AM, and before you know it, Ben's naked in the middle of Swanage, and he just dives into the sea, and you've got to follow him. But yeah, it's just crowds of people in the smoking area, and Ben with his willy out. You're kind, compassionate, genuine, funny, energetic, but most important. There's bits of funny bits. Most importantly, you made Fergus happy in a way that I never could. I'm sure the other siblings would agree that you're like a brother to us, and I'd say welcome to the family, but it feels like you always have been. So, in many ways, you're very different people, but in so many, you're also alike. And you fit together like a jigsaw, and make the whole stronger for it. And I'm incredibly happy for you both to be going into this new chapter of your lives together. So, please, raise your glasses to Ben and Ferg.
Finally, Beth and James. I'm not sure it's in a competition, but it is Beth's going to win.
A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Ben made it quite clear that he wanted us to keep it as short as possible. It's almost like he might be worried about what we might say. So when Beth heard this, she obviously wanted to make it a contest and was adamant that we would do the fastest speech ever. Thankfully, I've talked around, but because it's your special day, Ben, we'll try and make it as competitive as we possibly can. So, are you ready, Beth? 3, 2, 1, go!
We're at a slightly different height, aren't we? So for those of you that don't know, my name is Beth and I am 50% of Ben's best men. And as you can imagine, standing here today, this is something I have dreamt about ever since I was a little girl. At the age of 3, I was recruited by Ben's family to be his lifelong friend, mentor and captain of every single sports team he would ever play on.
I'm James. I was headhunted and employed shortly after Beth's recruitment to fulfil the role of Ben's primary caretaker. So as you can see, despite some broken bones and some near misses, Ben is still here. So, now that I've fulfilled my duties, I'll be renegotiating my contract and pay structure with his new management team, Fergus. Yeah, so it is. What an absolutely amazing day it's been so far, and the location is absolutely breathtaking. I don't know how many people that will be able to say they got married on a cliff face. We know Ben loves being Ben the Ranger so much, and he's even become a low-level Instagram celebrity, so much so that I hear, / he brags, he gets recognised in the streets for being Ben the Ranger. But what I'm trying to say is, however much you love where you work, it takes it to a new level choosing to get married here.
So our friendship began in the early years at nursery together. Ben and I would spend every single Friday and Saturday together at Ben's grandparents, through school and right up to our sixth form years. And the three of us have been best friends for as long as I can remember. With all of this experience being with Ben, we thought that we would tell you a little bit about the man behind the Ranger.
He's everybody's favourite person. So for this reason, we were so honoured to be Ben's best people. There are so many people in our group of friends that he could have chosen to be his best man or woman. And that's because Ben is everybody's best man. He's the person that everybody wants to be around, the person who's always up for anything, the person you put first on your invite list when having a party, and our go-to person for advice or a cuddle. Although he has a generous heart, this generosity doesn't quite extend to all aspects of his life.
Ben is notoriously tight with money. When we used to have parties or get-togethers as teenagers, everyone used to come along with a plate of food, a few beers. Ben, however, used to go to the local Asda and just raid the reduced aisle. This usually meant that he would turn up to the party with random packets of meat, sandwich fillings, and just generally items that were going out of date. There we go. He was always super proud of these things that had cost him next to nothing. However, but the thing that literally nobody wanted was a spoonful of tikka masala sandwich filler before going out.
He's wise beyond his years. Despite being the youngest in our year, he has never let this hold him back. Ben was the last to turn 18 in our friendship group, which meant that for our first group holiday after school to Tenerife, being an August baby, he had to produce a signed letter from his parents in order to the travel agent in Bideford to be allowed to book on with us. Luckily, his parents provided this, although even if they didn't, I'm sure Ben would have found a way to come on the holiday.
Well before this trip, he'd already honed his craft for forging documentation. He used to photocopy his driving licence, cut out the number 3 from the copy, and then glue it over his driving licence with nail glue to make it look like he was a year older, so he was able to get into the local pubs and clubs. If you've ever seen photos of Ben when he was younger, I know what you're all thinking. There's no way this is going to work. When he was 17, he didn't look over a day about 12. But it did, pretty much all of the time. And so much so, Ben actually started a small side hustle dealing these IDs around the year group. I'm not sure if this says more about Ben's arts and crafts abilities or the Bideford bouncers' resilience to letting in 17-year-olds into pubs and clubs.
As Beth said, he's creative, and anyone who knows Ben knows he has a passion for fancy dress. And I think Tom's touched on a couple of them, just to reiterate how much he's into his fancy dress. I'll go over them again. So when others would stick to safe options when picking their outfits, Ben would see this as an opportunity to express his creative side. Some of his most notable transformations include the donkey in the Year 3 nativity play, the Jolly Green Giant, which my mum spent about 3 weeks afterwards scrubbing the green paint off her shower after she showered afterwards in my house, Oscar Pistorius and Reva Steenkamp with Ferg, Platform 9 3/4 from Harry Potter, where he literally dressed up as a brick wall, and then there was another time where he dressed up as a prominent Labour politician, but we won't talk about that. It's actually great to see that he's came as himself tonight, actually.
One of Ben's most endearing qualities is how passionate he is. Whether it's delivering obscure facts about wildlife, or just generally assaulting unsuspecting victims with his chat about dry stone walls, he loves life and his enthusiasm is infectious. However, this is not always a positive. He is literally the worst person to be around in the morning when you're hungover, with bags of energy, raring to go out for breakfast, jump in the sea, or just generally some other mad activity that absolutely nobody wants to do.
Arguably, Ben's best trait is his amazing judge of character. If being best friends with these two legends isn't proof enough, then you only have to look at who he's marrying to see how good a judge of character he is. I met Ben for a quiet drink in a bar in Bideford when he was old enough to be going in. One night during a holiday from university, and Ben brought his friend Fergus along with him. And my first thought was, Jesus Christ, this guy's an absolute hunk. There's no way. There's no way that Ben's going to be interested in him. But he was, and it was obvious even from the early days how much they loved each other and how perfect they were for each other. Fergus slipped into our friendship group perfectly over the years and has joined us for holidays, festivals, drinking and general merriment over the years along with his brothers. And who can forget you throwing up on a pub crawl in Swanage, proceeding to wipe your mouth on a van bonnet and then casually strolling into the next pub. When we got when we got the text and a lovely photo of when Fergus asked Ben to marry him, which was a thoughtful, got that wrong way actually. So when we got the text and a lovely photo of when Fergus asked Ben to marry him with the most thoughtful handmade ring, we were over the moon. And since then, and in the wait for the wedding, they have moved into their new house and proceeded to tear it to pieces. And this is so typical of Ben, who, even when we were younger, used to love a project, even if it involved getting his hands dirty. Ben even once said that he didn't need to go to the gym in order to get fit and healthy, because he'd do this from manual labour. And we can see today, from his muscular and stocky frame, just how much that's paid off for him.
Although one of our favourite pastimes is abusing each other, the three of us really are the best of friends. We were inseparable as teenagers and used to sit together in GCSE. Our physics teacher, Mr. Ford, even wrote a song about us, never being able to leave each other's side. This was called Aris, Tolly and Weir. That was my best Devonshire accent, by the way. He made us all stand in front of the school year of about 400 people and then continued to serenade us with that song at our school leaves assembly, which wasn't embarrassing at all. As embarrassing as that was, I was happy to be making memories with you both. Ben is my longest standing friend. Oh my gosh, I didn't think And despite being geographically very far apart, nothing ever changes when we're together. Oh wow.
Go on, Beth. Go on, Beth.
Caring, fun relationship now as we've always had. Fergus, thank you for making Ben happier than we ever thought possible. You are absolutely perfect together and we're so happy to be a part of your life and we're honoured to be Ben's best people here with you both today. Ben?
Hi.
Personally, I can't wait for you to return the favour and add a bridesmaid dress to your growing list of outfits. But in the meantime, let's celebrate you and your amazing husband. We love you both very much. Please be upstanding. Final toast for there, guys. Please be upstanding and raise your glasses.
To Benefag!
Right guys, we've got an hour of free time, and then the sock wrestling starts. 1 hour free time and then sock wrestling.